So there it is, Sharon Bank, Sharon Savings Bank, here at the corner of 19th and South, which is a few blocks south of Rittenhouse Square. Also Tuttleman and Good Shepherd hospitals are here. That bank, I believe, is an orchestrated bank. It says 150 years, celebrating 1873 to 2023, moving forward since 1873. I wondered if it was fake, and they can create fake histories, because I had to move in a desperate manner in 2010, and let's see, Baltimore, Boston, Connecticut, New York, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C. Architecture, so someone was designing something. So he's supposed to look like Josh Shapiro, so he wants in on the info, like he's eating, kind of fakely eating popcorn, I would say. But I wound up having to move down here in sort of a tight spot. So, and I didn't think that much about the bank having my name. I'd noticed signs that said Sharon Bank when I was, you know, before I even moved to Philadelphia. And I, you know, half wondered about it. I wasn't someone who put a lot of meaning on it until, and we have Aaron here. I use the name Aaron for my book, Venmo Vans, Duplicity and Duress, Net Factories in the Making. Until, I don't have this kind of money, but I should. And I know it. Texas, riding a bike past here. So, these people are piggy, I never was. So that's where I lived, with the bike stand in front of the window. It looks slightly different because there used to be an window unit air conditioner in that window by the light there, by the door. I was in the front floor right here, first floor, above, like, now they have laundry. They put laundry in a year after I was terrorized in my apartment and made to believe I'd be murdered. And they put different windows in. They have like plantation blinds now, which are thick wooden blinds, or similar to it there. And I used to have these pretty wispy curtains. These are really tall windows when you're inside. They did kind of make the apartment seem better. And I didn't have these windows with these white, because it looks cheap to me, these white crisscross windows. I don't know if you can see it through, but I went in and out of that door for 7.5 years. They didn't have these master lock things on the side like they do now on the railing. Also, we were pretty strict with recycling. I don't really produce that much trash. It would just be like tissues, band-aids, and paper towels. Everything else is recycled. Like I don't actually, like, it would take me 4 weeks to even put out trash. But, because I barely had any. So, I did put out recycling every week, and I broke down my boxes and everything. Whatever happened that fourth Monday of January 2011 was so egregious and so bad. Someone was creating their own science fiction film because they think they're above the law, they think they're above the matrix. They might have been able to operate above the matrix. There are people who actually kind of are above the law. I know they say that all the time, no one's above the law. That's total bullshit, because there are people who can do things you don't understand. They can make you read totally wrong sentence, and you would swear up and down you saw a certain word. And someone else is saying, no, it says blah 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 blah. And you're like, no, it says blah 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 dee. No, it says blah 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 blah. And all of a sudden you'll see that the other person is right. That's how badly brains can be messed with. So there are people with food stamps who might not deserve food stamps, or people who should have gotten food stamps who didn't get food stamps. That's how easy it is to switch things in and out without people even realizing it. Maybe a mistake is caught later, maybe. I used to feed birds over here during my last year in the apartment. But anyway, my point being, someone needed me to be just south of that bank for this to go off. I would learn over time that there are orchestrated communities, there are fake-ish communities, or communities that are created for specific things. Most of us live in the regular world. We figure you go to school, you get a job, you pay your bills, you know, Most of us aren't incredibly wealthy where we could do something like that on private lands or what have you. Or the government could orchestrate stuff. They could decide we need these names in place, we need a bookstore that says this, we need, and they're creating their own little narrative, their own little story. So anyway, I was terrorized so badly, I was convulsing in fear. I couldn't even speak, I couldn't scream. I thought it was the last night of my life. It turns out your muscles go limp, you can barely hold anything like a phone. I had a little tiny palm, I had purchased like 9 months before like my first smartphone ever, because I always had a clamshell flip phone. And I was all excited because I was like, oh, how neat this is. I finally got a palm phone. But I would quickly, within the weeks to come after that, because of harassment that went on and 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 on, in a way that's really hard to explain because it is above the law in the Matrix apparently, because it kept going on and I couldn't figure out what to do about it. And I thought I'd be laughed out of. You know, it's a thing where it's like, well, who's to blame exactly, because there's so many people involved. And it's like, you can't really point at a person. Also, I don't love the justice system, so, but point being, it went on and on and on and on. Sorry, I lost my point. I could barely hold a phone. I finally gathered up the courage to call my sister first. It was in the wee hours of the morning. The witching hour is anywhere between, I say, 3:30 and 5. That's when you can get away with stuff. That's when criminals come out. That's when all kinds of activity goes on, because most people wind up falling asleep by a certain point in time. Most people aren't paying attention. Called my sister. She finally convinced, she first said, put something up against the door. Like, do you have a chair that you could put up under the doorknob? Or and a stick. There were tons of commercials about that stick that you stick up under a doorknob. The stick would then, it's almost like someone could hear my conversation with my sister, because I would run into people saying, well, do you have the stick? 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 And I felt like they were mocking myself and my sister. They'll pay the price. So, anyway, she convinced me to call the police. I didn't want to call the police at first because I actually wondered if it would be rerouted through some other office, like the CIA, or it did feel rigged-ish. And I was afraid, like, the sad part is, there are people who can insert beliefs. The problem is they negate victims of, say, pedophilia, and it does go on, sexual crimes, or people who like to fondle people's genitals because maybe they are at an age where it's like you should know better, but they want to explore everybody's bodies. And people would try to question your memory. So there are people out there who always question people's memories. And the problem with people inserting things for a minute is that they can negate actual victims being victims, so that they can get away with their crimes, which is what happened here on 626 South 19th Street. Dennis Wasserman